Okay, everybody, thanks for joining. Welcome to Introducing the Evolution of SOC, the Cyber Defense Center. Glad to have everybody aboard today. So let's get this webinar started. Today we have three presenters with us. We've got Joe Bertnick, our Chief Technology Officer. We've got Martin Watts, who's our CDC Program Director, and Austen Durkin, who is our SOC Team Lead. So without further ado, I will pass the webinar along to Joe.
Thanks, Stacey. Appreciate the introduction. And welcome everybody to our launch webinar, if you will, for Cyber Defense Center. It's a solution that we've been working on now for over 9 months, and we've been able to really demonstrate some great customer success and hopefully introduce a solution that really kind of opens doors and possibilities for customers around security monitoring. Today, we're going to look through a couple of different topics. First, some of the customer challenges we see in deploying security monitoring, delivering, better visibility across their estate, and some of the options for a better way forward. We'll introduce our Cyber Defense Center security offering and how with using Azure Sentinel from Microsoft, that's really opened some new opportunities. And then we'll actually look at the solution and ultimately look at the SOC team in action so you can really see exactly how our team is able to support the solution. And then finally, Martin will join me as we talk about some of what customers are saying already with the technology and what our next steps are for you. So we see customers having some common experiences when they look at security monitoring across their estate. They know the world's a bad place. They know that they're likely going to have attacks, but the challenge really comes to how they understand the attacks within the organization, what visibility they have across their estate. And because of the complexity of different security technologies, different platforms, different environments, it's very difficult to really get that bird's eye view of what's occurring within your environment. Of course, the solution is security monitoring, but for a lot of organizations, that's been one of the projects that continually struggles on their roadmap because of the high cost of developing the technology, the teams to support it, ensuring that you don't get alert fatigue, and ultimately how you action those alerts to be able to improve the security across the estate. And many teams discover that even if they have the technology, they really don't have the additional security expertise within the team, or maybe the people that are trained on security are really focused on the needs of the business and don't have time to properly care and feed a SOC solution. So insourcing the solution becomes really difficult. Ultimately, even if you're outsourcing a solution, the high cost of that really makes it prohibitive for a lot of organizations. And so, we've been looking at some of the evolution of security monitoring technology, how AI and automation have really enabled much more powerful tool sets. And as a matter of fact, this is part of a continuing set of webinars that we've done. And if you really want to drill into some of the capabilities around AI and automation across different tool sets, or how we've used Azure Sentinel to do threat hunting, I encourage you to go back and take a look at some of those because it really helps explore some of those challenges that customers are facing. But we're hoping to develop a better solution, a better way forward for customers where they do have full visibility across the estate because they've been able to onboard a SOC monitoring solution that was relatively painless within the grand scheme of things. It really started to pull data from a lot of the necessary sources at night. They knew that, if you will, tick box was covered, that they could sleep soundly at night, knowing they had visibility across their estate. And with the power of Azure Sentinel, we're able to respond to incidents very rapidly with the degrees of automation that we built into the solution and really deliver a SOC solution that is an extension of our customers' teams. And that's really at the heart of why we put together Cyber Defense Center and why this layers on and is partnered so seamlessly with Azure Sentinel as our technology platform. Cyber Defense Center really pulls together all of the capabilities we see in helping customers identify threats and risks to their environment, be able to analyze and provide the insight to the necessary steps, and all the way taking a customer to managed remediation and response. So we really ultimately want to bring all of these technologies and capabilities together to really deliver a seamless solution for the customer that enables them to really reduce that window of risk in their organization by having a direct connection from the insights that understand where risk occurs to actually the response mechanisms to deliver on that risk and to reduce that risk within the organization. Cyber Defense Center weaves together these different technologies into a seamless solution that is a turnkey ability to add 24/7 security monitoring to your organization. Now, as I mentioned, one key component of Cyber Defense Center is Microsoft's Azure Sentinel platform. And we've really seen this become very transformative in the market for a couple of reasons. First, it's backed by a huge investment on the part of Microsoft into their entire security portfolio, over $1 billion into different technologies, not only to do better security monitoring and analysis like Azure Sentinel, but as well to do better protection down at the endpoint or at Office 365 with ATP Defender and other technologies. So there's a broad investment from Microsoft to really support it. And what they've built with Azure Sentinel is a technology that layers on top of some of the inherent capabilities within Azure for log analytics, for AI, for insights that can be derived through the Sentinel platform. And we've seen it as something that's been really great for our teams to use. And that's been echoed by other industry and analysts and leaders who have seen Azure Sentinel in the last 18 months shoot from a product that's being introduced to something that's in the leaders quadrant in all of their analysis. And that's echoed, as I said, by our teams, because it becomes a really exciting platform to use to be able to do threat hunting and analysis, because our teams can work through the entire threat hunting lifecycle from where we discover issues in the environment or suspicious behavior to tracking that all the way to alerts and incidents and ultimately resolving those. And we'll actually have a scenario a little bit later today to kind of walk through that example. But one of the last elements with Azure Sentinel that really changes the game for a lot of organizations is that it's delivered as part of an Azure model. And so as a result, it's very straightforward to deploy, something that can be done very quickly. It can connect very easily to all of your Azure data sources. And because it sits in the cloud, it can also consume the whole of the rest of the estate, giving you complete visibility. But because it's deployed within Azure Sentinel, it is a pay-as-you-go consumption-based model. And because you are already storing Azure log sources, those are not included within that consumption pricing. So it's really opened the doors for a lot of customers to explore doing more security monitoring within their entire environment. So it's not only a great technology platform backed up by a huge investment by Microsoft, but one that really changes some of the economics around security monitoring for many organizations. And we at Comtact have really specialized on Azure Sentinel as the platform for Cyber Defense Center. And so we've been able to take 15 years of experience in delivering NOC solutions, delivering 24/7 incident response for customers, and 5 years of security operations experience, and embed that within Azure Sentinel as a platform that has enabled us to really develop insights across customers so we can execute, for example, threat hunting tripwires across multiple customers within a segment based on the insights we develop. Additionally, that whole process that we have around incident response, our frontline experience, is really backed up by our 24/7 team of security analysts that are doing threat hunting, investigation, and really developing the insights into the solution. Using the Mitre attack framework, we've developed over 250 different tripwires and sensors to really help us understand when suspicious behavior needs further investigation, further insight. Additionally, at Comtact, because we are a gold certified Microsoft partner, we extend these services not just for security monitoring, like many other organizations focus on exclusively, but it's part of a broader set of services that we offer around Azure, Microsoft digital transformation, as well as security for Office 365 and M365. So as a Microsoft Gold partner, we can really offer a combined set of services, not only security monitoring, but also helping manage the rest of the estate. But at its core, Cyber Defense Center is a turnkey solution. It supports all of the traditional SIEM use cases of being able to aggregate logs across the whole of the estate, develop insights into that, and derive the necessary rules and analytics for incident management. And our team operates 24/7, looking at those incidents, identifying suspicious activity, and then escalating them through our process, as you expect, to ultimately result in a set of analysis that we can be able to act on either in an automated way through our managed detection and response, as well as working with you through incident management and resolution with your teams. Additionally, because this solution's embedded within Microsoft Azure, we've been able to help customers develop better monitoring of Office 365 activity where, for example, external vendors may be given access to Teams folders or SharePoint folders that are then shared across your organization, as we'll see a little bit later in our demonstration. And then finally, leveraging insight, not only traditional threat intelligence, but insight across the dark web to really understand where risks occur across the whole organization. And as part of this, we support all of the traditional care and feeding of Azure Sentinel. We make sure the log sources are really tuned to deliver great signal to noise ratio, and ultimately making sure that the monitoring is an effective solution to know what the state of your organization is and the state of defense. And ultimately, we want to be an extension of your team. So as we deliver services, we'll be looking to develop insight around the applications that are critical to your business, things that need to be monitored in a much more close way, extending the security monitoring outside of traditional SIEM use cases to things that may be bespoke within your organization, being able to triage and track those events, identify where security improvements can be made. And all of this really comes together in part of a monthly technology and security review that we conduct with each customer, where we're optimizing log sources, making sure we're getting good data coming into this solution, as well as being able to identify where we can better track events, better triage, and potentially additionally apply more threat hunting tripwires within an organization. In addition to Azure Sentinel, which is a phenomenal platform for being able to do threat hunting and investigation, we layer on additional technologies as part of Cyber Defense Center. And these help us deliver a better customer experience, full visibility across all of the incidents we may be managing, and the resolutions that we have across the teams. All of the analysis is able to be seen through a common dashboard, and the solution is called Halo. And it helps our teams really facilitate better communication with the customer. We layer on it with other technologies for documentation and process management that really enables our team to deliver a service that delivers great value for customers. Now, Azure Sentinel sits within, of course, the Azure cloud and consumes that data natively, if you will, but it can connect to the entire estate to be able to give you complete visibility across your whole environment. So built into Azure Sentinel, and we've seen amazing progression, if you will, over the last 18 months with this capability, is the number of connectors that are natively now plugging into Azure Sentinel, which means being able to integrate these different technologies becomes very straightforward from a SOC perspective, and it ensures that we're getting great insights into the different information coming from all these different log sources. Now, this is a small collection of all that's capable within Azure Sentinel, but of course, because it supports Ceph and syslog and all of our traditional log source aggregation, we're confident that customers can be able to get visibility across their estate very quickly. And in many cases, we have an onboarding time frame of 1 month, where many traditional solutions look to 3 to 6 months to be able to really start to get visibility across the estate. So with the power of Azure Sentinel sitting within the cloud, we're able to get much more insight across the organization, and insight not only into Microsoft-based sources, but of course a whole myriad of other technologies. And that's really backed up by our team. Now, we run a multi-level team, so we have our first line 24/7 SOC engineers that are working within our Halo portal, working within Azure Sentinel, doing that initial triage of events. And they work with our backline SOC analysts and threat hunters who are continuously going out and developing further threat intelligence and insights for our customers, identifying where suspicious behavior needs to be monitored, and of course, doing the natural care and feeding of Azure Sentinel to make sure that you're getting great insights about your organization through the technology as it's being fed from your internal log sources, as well as external threat intelligence. In addition to our ongoing threat management, incident resolution, SLA process, if you will, we also look forward to the monthly calls that I mentioned, where we're really able to derive additional threat intelligence and security insights, as well as our quarterly service reviews to ensure that we're delivering a service that ultimately results in us being an extension of your team. Cyber Defense Center is really a foundation product as part of our service portfolio, and it allows us to provide that great level of insight, and from there we can derive, we can deliver additional services for customers, such as vulnerability management, managed threat detection and response with endpoint solutions such as SentinelOne, Microsoft ATP Defender, looking at network intelligence through Vector AI, or being able to do managed threat response through Zscaler. Additionally, we assist customers in a number of different ways, whether we're doing breach investigation and potentially penetration or red teaming with our SOC, penetration testing, email phishing, or even being able to do breach assessments for customers. So Cyber Defense Center really starts a foundation of services that we can offer that really can grow and scale with our customers based on their requirements. And now what I'd love to do is bring in Martin Watts, our CDC Program Director, and talk about some of the successes we've had with customers and CDC. Martin?
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Joe. So following the scenario that was painted out there, we'd like to share a few short comments from our clients who have already made the migration to Comtact's Cyber Defense Center. So we've got a couple of short videos. First of all, starting with Mark at the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors have undertaken a fairly major digital transformation over the last few years, like many organisations moving to the cloud, and whether that be hybrid or full cloud environments. And that led them to review their cybersecurity program and engage further with Comtact. So hit play, Joe.
When we got a better handle on our infrastructure and Comtact were delivering infrastructure projects, the next stage and the next evolution was to become better at cybersecurity. Obviously, cybersecurity never stays still. We always have to be keeping up, and RICS internally were just not geared up with the resources or the skills to keep our information as secure as it need be. Comtact being an integral part of the support and ecosystem for RICS, it was a natural opportunity for them to look at the CDC and look to provide cybersecurity services. And it's clear to see that Comtact have done this, and this is part of what they do day to day. They've come up with options and ideas and have really taken the security profile and posture of RICS forward already, even in the early stages. We'll be implementing tripwires, endpoint protection, and all of those things that will be feeding to the managed security service. And as a project which is sponsored by our chief exec, it's not something that we can get wrong. And to date, Comtact have provided real value, and I can see that there's a real opportunity here for them to be our trusted partner, and we're looking after all of our security environment.
Okay, that's great. And then we've got another very short take from another organisation. That's Chris at Currencies Direct. Slightly different scenario for this organisation who works in the financial services space. They did have a previous SIEM service, a fairly legacy platform and service with an incident response wrap. But I think it'd be fair to say that they felt that they weren't receiving the requisite level of value based on the amount of investment they were making into the service on an annual basis. And that's where Comtact came in. So go ahead, Joe.
In our selection of a partner to work with in the incident response space, we carried out a soft review of the market and spoke to a number of suppliers, both UK and US based. And Comtact very much had an advantage in our thinking. The opportunity to move to the Cyber Defence Centre with Comtact builds on the relationship we already have and gives us 24/7 capability that is really important to our global business. Like many organisations, I think we have a small team, and we're always have significant challenges. Bringing Comtact into the equation really gives us that skill set that bolsters the team and gives us more confidence in what we're doing. Having a strong relationship with Comtact, I would certainly recommend them to other businesses as an unusually good supplier of services across the whole cybersecurity space with new services. And as I said, they are willing to go the extra mile and really do feel like an extension of my team as opposed to a third party I'm dealing with.
I think that's a great testimonial.
Yeah, agreed.
It really speaks to how, you know, we focus on being that trusted partner and being an extension of our team for our customers, and to help them, you know, through this journey. You know, it is an ongoing process. And one of the beautiful things about Cyber Defense Center and Azure Sentinel is that it is a deployment that you can start small, you can scale up very easily, both in the type of services being offered as well as the coverage of your estate that you might have. And so we think this really changes the landscape, opens new doors. And of course, with our SOC team, there being an extension of your organization, we're able to support not only providing the traditional threat intelligence and the advice and expertise and the remediation assistance, but really being an extension of the team. So we're thinking more broadly about the incident in question, how to contain it, how to get your organization back up and running as quickly as possible. And with the pay-as-you-go options, I think that really, as I said, opens new doors for customers, gives us an opportunity to scale up security monitoring in a way that really fits the needs of the business, as opposed to being a large expense that you have to continually, you know, care, feed, and support across the whole of the organization. With Cyber Defense Center, we have a solution that is really an all integrated offering for customers, turnkey, if you will, to be able to support their security monitoring needs. With that being said, let me turn it back over to Daisy now to sort out some of the other logistics around the webinar and some of the other upcoming events that we have. Daisy?
Great, thanks for that, Joe. Yep, so our next steps will actually, within the next couple of minutes, you'll get a 3-question survey come through, and we're just requesting that you share your quick thoughts on the session, what you would like us to cover in future webinars, and as an incentive, we will be giving £20 to support the charity Fair Share for every completed survey received. Fair Share provides 1 million meals a week for vulnerable people in the UK, so we are happy to be supporting them at the moment. In regard to our on-demand webinars, the previous webinars we've done are currently online, which are viewable through our website or YouTube profile. And this afternoon we will be sending you an email with the link to this webinar on demand, so you can share it with your colleagues if you believe it would help. And yeah, we have another webinar coming up this month on the 25th of March, which is how to command identity access control across your cloud infrastructure. For this, we are happy to be partnering with Okta, and we've got a special guest star coming in from them who are going to be helping us with this particular webinar. Now we would like to hand over to the Q&A section. We do appear that we've got 2 questions in there that Joe might be able to answer for us. And if there is anything that you haven't already put in the Q&A section or we aren't able to answer, we will be sending out an email later on where you can contact us via phone or email that way. So Joe, first question that we've got come through. I'm wondering if there's an incident which requires remediation assistance. Will Comtact assist?
Excellent question. Definitely. Cyber Defense Center is meant to be not just an analytical tool, but one that really focuses on how do we get the problem solved ultimately at the end of the day. And so where we have the ability to do automated response, for example, in the case of the video here, the customer had Sentinel-1, which enabled us to automatically quarantine that endpoint and be able to really start monitoring some of the traffic across the network to identify the scope and the depth and breadth of that attack. And so where we have those additional capabilities, we can automate some of those. Of course, we can work as an extension of your team. And then ultimately, if, say something catastrophic were to happen and you needed our broader support, because Comtact is both an organization that delivers NOC services, we can deliver remediation as part of that and have helped customers address not only clean up from a breach or an attack, but more importantly, deploy new security technologies to make sure they're more secure.
Great, thanks for that, Joe. And we have our second question, which is, how does this service work in relation to the Mitre attack framework?
Great question. Now, I mentioned earlier that we've built a number of threats and tripwires around that, but Austen, are you on the line?
Yes, of course.
Why don't I let you answer this one?
Yeah, of course. So everything that we kind of pump into Azure, we're always looking at where are the attacks coming from. So we always want to know who they're coming from, and we also want to know how they're coming in. So as part of our offering, with our hunting tripwires and likewise with our incidences, these are all linked to the Mitre attack framework. So if we're, for example, seeing a brute force, we know that this is kind of might be a brute force attack on the Mitre attack framework, and it might be credential scraping. So all of our tripwires all link back to the Mitre attack framework. It's important to know how the attackers are trying to get in to try and stop them. So yeah, it completely links up with the Mitre attack framework in both the instances that we can raise and with all of our tripwires. So we're always thinking with the Mitre attack framework in mind, so we know who we're protecting our customers from and how they're trying to get in as well.
Lovely, great, guys. And we've actually just got one more come through. We've got a question. Can you take logs from endpoint and network sources too?
Definitely. So we can take anything that sends syslogs out, and we can also do some deeper integrations as well. So for network logs, we can definitely take them. So if you have kind of on-premise network logs, we can have a log collector either on your premise or in the Azure cloud, and then we just forward them logs to the log collector, and then they get pumped into Azure Sentinel. Likewise for antivirus logs, EDR logs, we can take anything that sends out syslogs or anything that has API integrations. We can also look at integrating and pulling information from as well.
Great, perfect. Thanks to that. So if you have any questions for Joe, Austen or Martin, you can contact us, the information that's on the screen, or you can contact your account manager regarding a free consultation with us.